What's up, guys? What's Shrimp Po Boy coming at you, and hopefully this is going to be the last of the videos relating to the GEET until I get my first reactor's infrastructure finished and all of that bolted on to a tiller so I can revive that old thing, make it run again, get some more longevity out of it, and do a completely quit that, mister, and make completely lower low to no emission tilling, so I can do strip mulch strip regenerative tilling, and use that to transition into a no-till gardening by adding Joel Wach's bloom minerals to the ground and stuff like that, raw apple cider vinegar and some probiotic stuff and some of that mycorrhizal mycelium for Paul Stamets and stuff to recultivate that ground and magnify the potential of that ground and transition it into a no-till zone. That's how I will do it, because it's the way to go. Honestly, it's a way to go. It's a genuine way to go. So you got yourself something to think about there. So anyhow, and if you don't want to know, the reactor's right here. The fuel reactor is exactly right here. See? This is the finished fuel, my first finished fuel reactor. And it's one of 3. This is the finished one. It's a finished reactor. It's just got to thread these, put the attachments on, and then bolt that to an engine. And this is going to be the rod I'm going to cut to match. Okay? I'm about to do a jump cut in 3, 2, 1. We're back. I wanted to jump cut real quick because this contains something. I'm going to show you how it works and why it relates to the GEET soon enough. Go ahead. Oh, no. Alright, folks, so gone through all that. For those of you who have already seen any number of videos going into the GEET or talking about Paul Pantone in my playlist on this channel, just I'll give you a specific timestamp to click to where I finished this particular section of this intro, or just this intro in general, and I will let you know when to skip to once I repeated these basics to the newcomers to the topic. Okay, by say this is the first they've seen of the GEET. If you don't know, GEET, G-E-E-T, stands for Global Environmental Energy Technology, and specifically, and by the way, when I look at the script, it's just as legit. It's all of my wordings, all of my thoughts put into a text, made into a material binding, so I'm reciting my own thoughts. It's just as legitimate as if I did it off the cuff, so if you don't like it, and GEET specifically also refers to the GEET fuel processor. And if you think about it, the full name of this would be Global Environmental Energy Technology Fuel Processor. But we call it GEET fuel processor, or GEET processor, or GEET reformer, or GEET reactor. Those are the shorter terms. GEET processor, GEET reactor. I tend to say GEET reactor or GEET reformer. And it is a fuel reformer with a lot of different extraordinary claimed phenomena. And I'll get into that soon. Promise you, it will be soon. But this reformer was invented by the guy who started the original company, Paul Pantone. Okay, you guys can click here now, and I'll start with the rest of the video. Since hopefully I've introduced newbies to this and they're okay with what I had to say so far. If you don't know what a fuel reformer is, it's something that takes one type of fuel changes it into a new chemical fuel type. For example, conventional reformers in the chemical industry, what they do is they take, say, natural gas and steam, and they'll turn it to CO2 and hydrogen. That's what coal. Or they gasify coal with steam and air, hot air ideally, and they use 4,000 degree Fahrenheit refractory cement. Come on, Panther. Panther. Oh, little bear. Come on, Panther. Come on, fat ass. Oh, he didn't want to come in. Chunker butt didn't want to come in. Mr. Shakes a lot. It's a wisecrack. It's just a wisecrack. I gotta laugh at the epilepsy somehow, or I'd cry, because it's a sad thing. Anyhow. People have said worse jokes at Michael J. Fox's expense. Relax or fuck off. So a fuel reformer, that's an example of a natural gas and steam fuel reformer. They use that to make methanol, and when they gasify coal, and they break natural gas apart, they make it to diesel, and which is really high quality. The only problem is it doesn't make an oil slick really worth a damn. So they can add a little biodiesel to completely remedy that and do better. And it works better than the original, diesel you get out of crude oil. The only problem is that the energy, you need a certain source of an energy system to power. You need a certain type of power of some kind that works independently to drive these plants. I advocate clean nuclear for that. It's the only way it's going to work. And if you decentralize production out the ass, you'll supply everyone what they need. Of course, under market, profit, communication, competition, cooperation, juggling, price signalings and whatnot. Because in an actual market, profit is a way to signal how to help your fellow human being. Contrary to what others say that are economic denialists or think we even remotely live in anything capitalistic, when property taxes and other forms of anti-property rights policy exist in governments all over the world. Now, those who deny that can sit on a pike until it comes out the top of their heads, as far as I'm concerned. It's my opinion, and I'm not changing it. So, GEET is a fuel reformer. It takes fuel substrates, turns them into a fuel gas that you can burn in an engine. At the very worst, it could take E85, which is 15% gasoline, or in some cases back in 100 years ago, kerosene, or a mix, or something like, say, 15% tractor vaporizing oil. If you used vaporizers for Ford Model T and Model A engines, power tractors like the early Fords and tractors. 15% petroleum distillate, 85% ethanol. And those distillates are in there to make it easier to start in cold temps. There's a project called Project Pegasus, which from Old Dominion University of Norfolk, Virginia, they did some experiments with some college students on a half-assing of this reactor, and it cracked E85 apart, and it made a push mower run 28 and 57/100% longer than the original gasoline and carburetor setup. That's at the crappiest, and it can make cracked diesel enough to make gasoline engines run like normal. Same with kerosene, etc. That's at the worst this thing can do. And that's been confirmed multiple times. They have half-assings of it called the Ecopra kit that they sell in France. And you can order it. It's actually out there this day. different companies in France, Belgium, a couple places in Canada where they're not so restrictive on this kind of import-export shit, and certain other European countries actively uses and modify older vehicles with it, and they get emissions improvements. At bare minimum, their exhaust emissions are cut by 80 to 85%. Really, and they put it on buses. It works. That's just the half-assing of it, more so than that Old Dominion University partially replication of it. That's a marketed product that's actually sold out there. Now, at the moderately best, it could become potentially a plasma reactor that can crack anything you want as a fuel, except synthetic lubricants and antifreeze. You try to run those long enough, it makes a deposit inside there that you kind of chemically clean the intake pipe out and clean the reactor rod off, or it'll never run again because the deposit, it's got to be chemically cleaned out, or you got to build a new one. People try to use part synthetic engine oils and antifreeze, and that they cause this. So they're not to be touched. Now, if you pre-vaporize those down into a freaking plasma arc outside and let this reactor draw the vapors of that up, then that might actually be possible to do, but I wouldn't chance it really. You're better off taking those and sending them to be recycled. That's the best thing to do. It's a smart way to do it, and it makes engine oil and antifreeze much cheaper the more everyone does this. So anyway, anything you can, so at the moderately better way this can function is, again, if it cracks anything except synthetic lubricants and antifreeze into a clean burning syngas, or reformate as it would be called, as a reformer, at garage tolerances, if the conditions are right and are in favor to make happen. I'll get to that soon. You could potentially convert just about any combustion engine into running on this, except the Tesla pulse detonation gas turbine. There won't be enough exhaust heat coming out of one of those, that type of engine, to initiate this kind of fuel reformer. To make, because you need a certain amount of heat exchange necessary to help make all this happen. There will be exceptions, but just about anything else, for the most part, can use this thing. Now, if you can get it to function to that, great. But if you can get it to function beyond that, and make it able to crack anything you vaporize down, except, like I said before, synthetic lubes and antifreeze, anything but those, or anything that has them in it, to its constituent atoms at the least of the extremes. If you get it to do that, we're going to have to confirm that, and I'll go into that in this video series. Don't worry. I will go into this video and further in the series. I will go into this. Don't worry. I promise. You'll get soon. Soon. Because that last one I got to start getting into at least a little bit, because it's a bit finicky to recreate unless we get more people willing to build their own, do experiments, put their results out there. And toward the end of this series, I'm going to have some suggestions of where you could upload these results. This will be very controversial for a lot of political groups, a lot of lobby groups, and all sorts of, because if you make plasma in this thing and it cracks anything down, just doing that alone can plasmolysis reform exhaust pollutants like nitrogen oxides into nitrogen and water and oxygen and stuff like that. That's excuse me. That's already a big no-no. Because the moment you render government mandated emission equipment in modern engines completely obsolete to the point you have to bypass them, you're already violating the Clean Air Act laws. It's no longer deemed a voluntary program anymore because the federal government's enforcing it like it's not. So you're violating that, and you can get fined, and you can get your ass thrown in jail. So that's a it's a no-go. So stationary equipment, carbureted vehicles, and stuff like that, and old mechanical fuel-injected vehicles you can get emissions waivers on, are where this will be shining. See, I'm trying to help you avoid getting your ass messed with by the cops and the feds here. I'm trying to help you. Besides, these applications are also the least disruptive. Apply applications if you can recreate all these effects or go even further, and I'll get to that later. So as I was saying, the GEET reactor is again a fuel reformer, and if you didn't notice, it consists of, as I'm showing here, if you see this, this is the exhaust pipe, a shorter, more narrow, a fatter, shorter pipe, and then inside that is this would be a longer, more narrow pipe like this, and inside there will be a rod. As you can see right here. I'll pop it out, show it. See? Okay. Now, this is black iron, so it's magnetite coated inside and out. The rod is just a mild, like a mild 1018 mild steel rod. Call it a 1018 round bar, steel round bar they call it. So anyway, but the construction can be black iron, can be steel, regular iron, duplex stainless steel, or ferritic stainless steel, as long as it has a ferromagnetic property to it. Those are the ones you have to go with. Obviously, the one that's going to last you the longest and practically never corrode or never go wrong or never wear out on you, we're going to be the duplex and ferritic stainless steels. Duplex being the most blatant here. And if they're alloyed with trace amounts of certain like rare earth minerals to enhance the ferromagnetic properties, and a little platinum group metal, trace amount, and a teeny bit of boron to enhance, just enough to enhance hardness, strength, and ductility and all that, without getting in the way of these ferromagnetic properties. That customization of a standard duplex stainless steel will be your best bet. So, I've researched into quite a bit of this shit for years. These are what you're going to have to use. So, the narrow pipe goes inside the fat pipe. The fat pipe carries exhaust around the middle. This is the reactor pipe because it's got the rod in it. Pulls vapor this way. The exhaust comes in and it comes around this and goes around it the opposite direction and comes out here in this setup for me. So I'm thinking I'm gonna run this horizontal on my low emission tiller. When I revive it, when I revive my old tiller, this is what I'm gonna run it on, horizontal. Then I'll take it off of that, put this like this so vertically on a generator. This is gonna be upside down on purpose. I'll get to that later. The diameters of the pipes, the width of the lengths and width and inner and outer diameters of the pipes, all these measurements. Whether you have it horizontal like this, upside down, this was upside down, or right side up, vertical, or diagonal orientations, or any of that. All those will factor in, and also the fuels you vaporize and want to crack down. They will all determine the length of the rod. You can measure that by burning in a rod for 35 minutes to 2 hours. And then you get another rod that's not burned in, like I got this one here prepped. It's got a bullet point on it. I prepped this one so I could cut it. That's what you do. You would take this other rod here out of this middle pipe here. You take it out, okay? keeping it in here because it's magnetically synced up with these pipes. These pipes. So what you do, you get a liquid compass, okay? Since I keep this side down, for instance. I start with the middle of the rod. I'd raise it up until the north hand of the compass spins around. It points right at that spot. I'd mark if the north handle is red or if it's white. I will use a piece of like ivory or white chalk or red chalk or something to mark. Say north is red. Mark it with red chalk and mark a line. Do it, and then move the compass down far enough until the rod's south hand spins around and goes like that. Bop. Mark that with the ivory or the white chalk. Then this device here is a stainless steel digital caliper. I'll show you how it works. Okay. You unscrew this to loosen it. And what you do, okay, is you open this up. You put this end on the one side of one of the chalk or ivory marks, and you move this one down, this handle down, this piece down to match the exact spot where the other mark is. You measure that, and it will tell you the millimeters. You want to go millimeters. You'll measure the millimeters of that rod length, of those marks, the millimeters between the two. And the reason you want that is very simple. That's what you want to cut your new rod with. And with that, I'm going to end this episode as I am. And I'll see you in episode 2.